Hey everybody, welcome back to Heirloom Permaculture. A lot of people say that gardening is only 3 seasons of the year and that you can't have a winter garden. We're going to show you real quick that that's not true. So this video is just to give you a quick update on all of the garden beds that we currently have in production. We have 5 back here in the back, and we have 2 up front. So 7 out of our 15 total beds are currently in use. And we also have some stuff growing in the greenhouse. So I'm just going to show you everything we have growing, what kind of shape it's in, and also what's our intended use, because this time of year you may have kind of a different use for some plants than you would in the spring or summer. So this first bed has black Spanish radish, it has turnips, it has parsnips, and it has carrots. And we're seeing pretty good germination on some of the stuff, but others it's kind of hit or miss right now because of the varied temps we get. So I think what we might do on this bed is maybe actually put some plastic over the hoops, create a little bit of a greenhouse effect there, and that ought to pick up germination. We've got enough germination from everything there that I don't want to cover this bed with the silage tarp to help with warming the soil, because some stuff's far enough along that it'll kill what's already growing. So we may just kind of greenhouse this one. We're keeping row cover on it, but I want to get as much sun in there on the soil as possible, and the heavier row cover we use to create more warmth, the more sun we block. The second bed has a pretty well established arugula, and we just recently transplanted some cabbage and some more kale. Now on the cabbage, you know, it's a lot denser space than you would normally do for your cabbage if you're going to grow big heads of cabbage. But this time of year you won't get that kind of a development. It will be more eating the leaves. And that's the way with the broccoli and cauliflower. We'll be eating more of the leaves than getting the big head production, but we will get some. So as we eat on these, we'll be intentionally kind of thinning them out and getting ready for these to take off when the weather starts to warm up a little bit, and they should. So we'll have them thinned out and ready to really produce those heads we want on fewer plants when we get there. Now this bed has a red Russian kale and Swiss chard down on the other end. This bed's been in use since late fall, so it's been growing all fall and winter. And you can see we've been harvesting off of it. Things are still looking good. It's been hit pretty heavy by frost a couple times, even with cover on it. We got down close to 10 degrees Fahrenheit. Everything's still alive and growing, and we're harvesting, and it's doing well. So we'll eat off of this all winter long. Now this bed has broccoli. You can see they don't look as vigorous and healthy as they would in the spring, and that's fine. Again, mostly harvesting leaves. We do have a little bit of head production on it, but they're small. So to even see those at all is unexpected, and we're happy with that. I don't expect them to turn into much, but if they do, we'll harvest them. We'll harvest them anyways, but we'll give them a chance to try to get big before we cut them. We'll leave these here at least for a few more weeks, and then we'll flip this bed. And the last bed back here is more cabbage and some cauliflower, and again it's more for leaf harvest than to get heads. So it's just a variety of greens for the winter. Now we could probably close these beds in with plastic and warm them up quite a bit, keep them warm, and we'd see a more traditional kind of spring growth out of them. But that's not the goal right now. Now again, these beds will all get transitioned, you know, within the next month or so. So not all of them necessarily, but there will be some changes. And we'll start putting out, so that last bed we just did, that has the new cabbage and kale in it. That one's got a head start on some of the changes that we'll be making. Well, we're back here in the back. We'll just go ahead and take a quick look in the greenhouse. Everything we've got started in here or growing, and what we're going to do with that. So this was kind of an experiment, see what would happen. We had a tray of onions that we had harvested. That was the last bit that didn't really grow last year, early in the year. And these have been laying on the back porch in a tray for the better part of a year. And they were kind of just discarded and dismissed as non-viable. But I got to checking on them, and a lot of them were still hard. So I went ahead and just threw them in a tray here with some soil, and we'll let those go for a little bit, and I'll probably be transplanting them out into the garden. Just got them in here right now to a little bit warmer environment. We do have Swiss chard ready to cycle out into the garden. Just seeded some bok choy, waiting for that to pop up. We've got some more kale. This tray is densely planted with cabbage, cauliflower, and broccoli. When those come up, we'll divide those out into pots, and they'll be grown off for transplants. These are new trays of baby mesclun lettuces and a stir-fry blend of greens. You've seen the greens we keep growing in here all the time. We just harvested off the last of what we had yesterday. So we got these going, and we'll harvest directly out of the garden in the meantime. And these are some goji berry starts that just come out of the front garden. So it's from roots, and see, we've already got some growth there, and these will all be up and growing shortly. Alright, so let's check out the front garden. Alright, so the first bed here has it was 3 extra red Russian kale that we had left over from the back, so we put them on the end of the row here. And we've got a bunch of dinosaur kale, and this stuff hasn't been real vigorous. So we side dressed everything today with some feather meal. Worked that in. We cultivated with our little cultivating tool. If you haven't seen that video, how to make that, go check it out. It's a pretty handy deal. So after the next rain, which is later this week, I expect these will take off pretty rapidly. And then in the other bed is some collards, and they're just not looking all that great. They're still alive, they're still growing. They got some frost damage. I need to do a little bit of cleanup on them yet, but this year yeah, almost, it's only the 5th. This morning we side dressed those also with feather meal, so let it rain on them and see how they do, see if they'll take off. If not, we'll probably pull those out and put something else in that bed. So to just make the blanket statement that you can't grow a garden in the winter, I think I've shown that that's not fair to say. I mean, you can grow in the winter. It's just going to be different than growing in the spring, summer, or fall. Plants don't grow as vigorously. You're going to have to grow different plants. You can grow some things that you can grow in the fall and winter, or fall and spring, but again, you won't see the same production from it. But you see, we've got all kinds of stuff growing. We might have to harvest them for different uses than you traditionally are used to. So the broccoli will get very little florets or a head on it. It'll be a lot more for the leaves. Same on the cauliflower and cabbage until the weather starts to warm up. But seeds are cheap, and you're still getting a lot of really good food. so it's worth the effort. It's not all that much work. It's not any harder than the rest of the year, and in fact in some ways it's even easier, because in the summer, you know, you're fighting a lot more weeds and grass and things like that than in the winter you don't have to deal with. So get out there, plant you a garden. It's never too late, it's never too early. You can always grow something. You just might have to change the way you do things a little bit for a few months out of the year, but it's well worth it. Get you outside, take advantage of any of the nicer days you have, and put some good food on your plate. Appreciate y'all coming see us again. Be sure to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and now Heirloom Permaculture is on TikTok. Who'd have ever thought? So I'm about a generation behind on that, but we'll see what happens. So y'all have a good one, and we'll see you next time. Bye.